at basically what can you do to basically check yourselves regularly to make sure that obviously if there's anything that of concern, you can go to your GP. So we'll be going through that. I did ask for some polls. I'm not sure whether them polls have been done. Do you know if they've been done, Seth or Rachel?
I couldn't get it through, Spice. I'm so sorry.
All right. Okay, no problem. So Rachel, I just if you could just afterwards just let me know how many people attended and what age they were and ethnicity, that would be brilliant. So first of all, I know I can't really see many of you, but I just wanted to find out how much people knew about cancer. Are they aware of it? Do they know what the signs and symptoms are? Do you want to shout out, or do you want to put your hands up, or how do you want to do this?
Okay, and but also pursue imundo do our money be before cancer honda. As soon as so about Benyasa Yarwan, cancer a friend cocram yariano. Aha, tea pacho upiwo, and more be a bit me a boy.
What I can do, Rachel, I think what might maybe be easier if I sent you a form or a QR code at the end that you can send across to everyone, and everyone can kind of just link onto that and then fill that information. Is that all right? Just to make it a little bit easier, a bit more smoother.
That's fab. That's great.
Yeah. So I'll just share my screen now. Can you see that? Yes. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So as I was saying, what we're gonna discuss today is breast, bowel, and cervical. Why do we need these cancers? Why do we need that conversation? How do we reduce our risk of cancer? Reporting signs and symptoms, and where can we find more help locally? And any questions that you might have either today, if you want to ask me, that's fine. And sometimes these things are quite private, so you can always get my email address from either Seth or Rachel, and I'm happy for you to email me or give me a call. And if you want to have a quick chat, I'm more than happy to do that. So obviously we know that cancer is a very, very kind of sensitive topic. So, you know, please take care of ourselves during the lesson. And I know a lot of people in this group will have or know someone that's actually been affected by cancer. So it might be kind of a heavy session. Feel free to go and have a break and come back. Or if you feel like it's too much, you know, if you want to leave, that's fine as well. But please do contact me separately and we can kind of have a conversation about this. It's a very important conversation to have. But make sure that today, whatever we're talking about, that you do look after yourselves as well in the session. So why do we need a conversation about cancer? Why is it important? So cancer is a disease that will affect all of us in one way or another during our lifetime. That might be through we're getting it ourselves, or somebody else we know getting it really close to us, or a friend or a friend getting it. So we will get affected. And we know that Cancer Research UK, I've said 1 in 2 people in the UK will have a cancer diagnosis at some point in their life. So that's quite a big figure, really, if we think about it. But this subject is always avoided. It's not talked about. So like, you know, when you have diabetes or you have a heart problem, people are kind of really open to talking about it. So I know, like, if I've gone somewhere and we're all sat there in a coffee shop and my friends are all eating, and one of my friends has got diabetes, she's very openly saying, oh, I can't eat that cake, I've got diabetes. Or, you know, I need to get my insulin injection in before I go out for a meal. And it's kind of a really normal thing to talk about. You know, my father had a heart problem. You know, it would just be so normal for him to talk about his heart problem. But when we get to cancer, we don't really talk about it, we hide it. And that's the difficult thing. Because we hide it, no one really talks about it. And we don't talk about, we don't know the signs and symptoms, and we don't know the signs and symptoms. Then basically, we don't know what we're looking out for. And that diagnosis is not at the early stage that we want it to be. And people always believe that it's not going to affect them, it's always going to affect somebody else, because sometimes people don't have any family history of cancer, but just because you've not got family history of cancer does not mean that you won't have cancer. And in some cultures, they believe, well, if we've got cancer, there's nothing we can do about it. So I'd rather not know about it at all. Some people are so scared to find out, even if they've got any signs and symptoms, they found a lump or they've had a change of bowel habit, say, over a period of 3 weeks. They're really scared to go to the GP because they think it's a death sentence once they're diagnosed. And this isn't true. As we go along this presentation, you'll find out that people right now should not be dying of these 3 cancers in this day and age. With everything that we have the doctors, we have the diagnosis, we have all the all the therapies and medication. People should not be dying from this. The reason is the fact that people are getting diagnosed at a very late stage. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to their screening appointments so we can find out early what's happening inside their bodies before they even know what's happening inside their bodies. And people believe that they're just going to get over emotional about these things and it's just going to get too difficult for them. So why does cancer generate such intense feelings and fear? I think what happened is years and years ago, when people had cancer, we'd find out at a very late stage because we didn't have the screening programs at that time. Oh, sorry, I've just got a broadcast list saying close all rooms. Seth and Rachel. Breakout rooms.
I think it's a translation room, Faiza, so you can just stick to where you are if that's okay.
Right. Okay, so I'm just gonna, how do I move this? Should I press broadcast? Broadcast then. What do I press, yeah. Rachel?
Yeah, press broadcast.
Press broadcast, okay. Oh, no, then it tells me to send a message. It says close all rooms. I can't actually, well, I'm just going to put it in.
No, don't close the room.
Right, I've not closed the room. I've just, right, okay, I've just moved it to the corner. So there are a lot of signs, there's lots of myths about cancer that can trigger people and get people really scared about it. Some people feel that it's something that they've done and God is punishing them and it's because of their actions or the fact that they've not done something and that's why they've got the cancer. And also the outside, obviously we have access to so much through the internet, through WhatsApp, through Facebook, through any kind of social media. And there's so much information out there. Not all of it's the right information. And we probably saw that a lot in COVID as well, where there was so much information going around that we didn't know what was right and wrong. And that really scared us. Most people don't know that cancer can now be diagnosed early and treated, and compared to like 50 years ago or so more, people can survive cancer more now than they did before because of us being able to find it. So all these screening programs are for people that are healthy, like you and me, that have got nothing wrong with them, that are going about their day and things are happening inside our bodies. And when we catch that cancer early, there's a higher chance of us surviving, and you can reduce your chance you can reduce your risk of cancer by 50% by making lifestyle changes as well. So cancer can be increased due to the way that you're living. We'll go that in a little bit later. It's more around kind of if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, if you're smoking, if you're eating the wrong food. So it's really important that we're aware of those things. And not only do those things help reduce the risk of cancer, they help to reduce the risk of diabetes, they help the risk of heart disease as well. So I'm not sure if we want to do this interactive or I can do it just as I speak. But where do we get our information from? Does anybody want to shout out where they get their information from? About anything. It doesn't have to be about cancer, but generally, where do we get information about? So if we've got a health condition, is there a certain place that people would go to, or what would happen?
The internet.
Yeah, the internet. Yeah, definitely, because that's a place where everyone thinks, right, we'll get, oh, it's easy accessible. We've got our mobile phones in our hands, and it's very easy for us to just type in something. So what happens is when that information that we get from the internet is incorrect, on top of that, we see things on media. And when we're talking about reading newspapers or watching TV like the news on TV, they're not going to give anything positive, are they? They're going to be looking at stories that are going to sell. So it'll be things like we hear, oh, this person's really, really ill, and the NHSs aren't going to give him the treatment. So they're raising X amount of money to go abroad and get this treatment done. And they put a lot of fear into the community like that. So it's really important that when we're looking at those information, where we're getting that information, that we're getting it from the right source. So we're from getting that information from the internet, which is wrong, then we're listening to social media. Another places where we get is from friends and family. So what happens with cancer is the fact that nobody tells you when they get diagnosed. Not nobody, a lot of people don't tell you when they get diagnosed. And hopefully they fight it and they get better. But if they don't get better, in the last couple of weeks, when they've been told that they've not got long left, that's when they tell their families, friends and families. So when we associate cancer, we sort of associate cancer with that person got cancer, and within 3 weeks or 1 month or 5 months, they passed away. But actually, it wouldn't have been that small period of time. It would have a long period of time, and they wouldn't have told you it'd been that long period of time. So we have that negativity, and that negativity then puts a lot of fear into our hearts, and then we don't know a lot of things, and that make us make bad decisions and have become bad outcomes in terms of we don't want to go to our screening programs. We think that actually if we get cancer, nothing can be done. I mean, I was running a session with a group of South Asian ladies, and one lady turned around and said, oh, my sister-in-law, she was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with her. She went to the doctors. They said to her that she's got cancer, and she died within a month. But they've not thought the background of it, because she hadn't spoken about cancer. She had the signs and symptoms. She didn't go to the doctor. She ignored him until they were at the last stages. And that's why it's important for us to talk about the signs and symptoms. And when I go through the signs and symptoms, you'll have an idea, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't know that was maybe a sign of cancer. I'm not saying if you've got that, it definitely is. But I'm saying these are things that we need to be aware of. And we need to make it a common practice that we talk about it. And here's a fact: no one is immune to cancer. Anyone can get cancer at any point of their lives. So we need to start having that conversation to get rid of that stigma about cancer, to get rid of all those myths, to help people know that the cancer risk and make those changes early in their lives to reduce their risks of cancer. Just because they reduce the risk doesn't mean they're going to get it. They're definitely not going to get it, but it just reduces their risk of getting cancer. To make sure that people are aware of them early warning signs and report those changes to the doctors really early, and know what support services are available for them locally, because this can save lives. So what do we know about cancer? So there are 200 different types of cancers, and those signs can be anything or nothing. Sometimes we don't even know that is going on in our bodies, and we're not aware of those things. So our bodies are made up of so many cells, and just generally they grow and they divide, and then they die over a period of time throughout the day. And sometimes we don't know why. There's been loads of research, and we're still doing the research. Then cells come up, and when they divide and grow and die, they don't actually die. They're called rogue cells, and they basically stay alive. And the other cells are still developing, but them cells become rogue cells. Now there's them cells are the cells that can turn cancerous. So they're the cells that we're trying to find when we're screening. We're not sure why that happens, but it does. And sometimes it can spread to other parts of the bodies and attack the body as well. So how do we reduce our risk of cancer? So stop smoking. And we all know that smoking it really increases your risks of lung disease, lung cancer. So it's really important that we stop. Keep at a healthy weight. The heavier our weight is, the more our bodies aren't working and those cells aren't developing properly. Keep up with regular checkups at your screening programs. Don't think there's nothing wrong with me or I haven't got time, because you have to make time for these things. Cut down on alcohol, stay physically active. That keeps your body pumping, that keeps you at a healthy weight. Eat more fiber, will help with anything around your bowel. Eat less meat as you're growing older, and avoid processed foods. Now, this can reduce your risk around 50% of cancer if you keep these into check. And it's really important that if you are smoking, and it's really easy for me to turn around and say, right, I think you should stop smoking. We're not saying that. We're saying if you are smoking at the moment, what you need to do is look at how much you're smoking and slowly reduce that. If you feel like you want to stop smoking completely, there's smoking cessation. If you're eating processed foods, maybe 3 times a week, do it 2 times a week. And then when you can, reduce it to 1 time a week. If you're, not walking or you're not staying active, start increasing your activity. You can increase your activity, like when you go to the supermarket, park at the back of the car park, there's an extra little walk. And the more you start becoming more active, the more you're going to want to do more and more and more. So it's taking those small little steps to change. We can't change overnight. And if we do change overnight, evidence shows that we fall that fast too. So we need to make small changes in our lives that we can continue to do, and that we can still live with. So it's really important that we keep up with our checks, to attend our NHS screening appointments when you're invited, and get to know what's normal for you. And if there are any persistent changes, anything over 3 weeks or more, please contact your GP immediately. In terms of your screening programs, as I was saying, it's for people that are healthy, that have got nothing wrong with them. But if you find a abnormality or something that's not normal for you and is lasting for more than 3 weeks, then you need to contact your GP and speak to your GP. The screening programs are for people that haven't got any signs or symptoms at all. So you will go through a different pathway for that. So what is cancer screening? It's a test that spots changes before even cancer develops. It's designed for like the healthy population, as I said, and a positive screening result does not mean that you've got cancer. It just means that we need to do a little bit more investigation to see what is going on. So the 3 screening programs are breast, which is for women, cervical, which is for women, and bowel, which is for men and for women. It's free if you're registered with the GP. You don't have to do anything at all. You will receive a letter, and all you do, you call to confirm your cervical screening appointment. Your breast screening, you don't need to call and confirm, but if you want to change, you can ring. And with bowel, I'll explain, it'll come to your house and you kind of drop it, and then you just post it off. Now, when we're talking about breast, bowel and cervical, and we're talking about those early stages of breast cancer or cervical or bowel, we know if we catch it early, there's 95% chance of survival for breast cancer. As I was saying, there should be people should not be dying from breast cancer in this day and age, because if we catch it early, there's 95% chance of survival. With cervical, it's 99.9% chance of survival, and with bowel, it's 85% chance of survival. So we're over the halfway mark here, and with breast and cervical, they're really high. So it's really important that we do that. I'm not going to be able to show you this video. Just gonna, sorry, just 1 second. See if I can go back. Okay. So with breast screening, so women are invited between the age of 50 and 70. This is women, trans or non-binary, anyone that's got a cervix, and you're eligible every 3 years. As I said, you don't have to do anything. You have to be registered with your GP. And on the GP, you have to be registered as female. In some parts of England, there are kind of some trials that are going on where we're trying to get people at the age of 47, and we're going up to the age of 73. But this is just a trial that we're doing at the moment. So women over the 70, stop automatically getting a screening appointment, but you can ring and basically request to be back on the system, and then you'll be called every 3 years after that. So with breast screening, we invite you to either a mobile phone unit or a hospital. So what happens is, depending on what area you are, we automatically send you a letter when you hit the age of 50, between 50 and 73, and every 3 years we'll send it one. We'll give you a time, we'll give you a date, and we'll put you with your wherever locally is to you. Maybe that be a mobile unit, or if you're near a hospital, it'll be a hospital. But you can ring and change that appointment. So if the time and date is not appropriate for you, you can ring. We did trial where we just sent people a letter and said to them, right, you're due for your breast screening appointment. Please ring and make an appointment. And we found that not a lot of people made that appointment. More people came when we actually gave them a day and a time. So we've gone back to timed appointments. So the mobile units are normally either a local community centre, a local supermarket. So it's very easy and accessible for you to get to. And over there, they will talk about your family history. They'll do some early screening as well for you. So what you do is that you have a mammogram. So it looks a little bit like this. Sorry. It looks a little bit like this. So what happens is very important to note that it's female only staff here. All the manographers are all female. Anyone that comes in to do any of the admin work there will be female. So they're completely female dominated environments. Please don't feel embarrassed. You know, these women see different shapes and sizes every day because people are like, oh, I'm unsure. But it's really important that you go to them. They will make you feel at ease. I mean, I work a lot with the manographers and they're so lovely, honestly. And if you have any issues at the session or anything that's happening, please do speak to the manographers, because we don't want you to leave and feel unhappy about something, because we know then you won't come to the next one. You know, speak to the manographers and see if they can alleviate any kind of issues or concerns that you may have. So what they actually do, they ask you to take the top half of your clothes off and you get put into a machine. As you can see in this machine, there's 2 plates. They put your breast between those plates, and there's a pressure that gets put in them plates. Now, that pressure is an automatic pressure, so we can get a good scan of the breast at that time. But some women have said that it hurts. So if it hurts, then please let the manographer know, and they can do it manually until the level that the pain that you can take. It should not be painful. It should just feel uncomfortable. So if it is painful, please do let them know. And they'll kind of adjust it. So they'll put you in different positions to get different scans of the breast, and also they'll be looking at your underarm area, all your underarm, because and your clavicle area, you know, where your collarbone is. They'll be looking and doing scans, so you'll be moved in different positions. Now, if you have a disability, you're in a wheelchair, then you will be sent to Withington Hospital, if you're in Manchester, because they have the equipment for people with obviously a disability. Now, if you have a learning disability, then, you know, it's really important that you ring and let us know, and we'll give you a double appointment, just so that you can we can take our time with you and go through that whole process with you as well. If you're unsure about it, we're happy if you want to ring and you want to come and see the mobile unit a week, 2 weeks before your screening is due, just to familiarize yourself with it. We're happy if you want to, even if you want to come down as a group and just have a walk around and see what it's like. We're happy to do that as well, because it's really important that you're comfortable in coming to these environments. Sorry, I forgot to say at the start, when you get your letter, the letter comes out in English, but there is a number that you can ring and request that in different languages. And there's also a video that we can send out to you to give you an idea of what's going to happen at the session. And that is available in some languages. We're at the moment in the process of doing it in different languages. But, you know, just to let you know that it is available there for you. Any questions on breast? No? I feel like I'm talking a lot. And if anybody wants to stop me, you're more than welcome to stop me, but I'll just carry on if you don't. So bowel. So with breast, as I said, you get a letter and you have to go to either a mobile unit or you need to go to a hospital. With bowel screening, this is a kit that comes to your home. This is for people, men and women, and it's the only screening kit screening program at the moment that is for men as well. So it's for men and women, and you have to be the age between 60 and 74, and the kits get sent to you automatically every 2 years if you're registered with the GP. Again, when you hit the age of 74, you can request a screening kit by ringing this number. I will send the information across that you can, and then you can get. And only one sample is needed. Now, this, I'd say, when you get to the age of 74, there's no reason why you wouldn't ring this number and continue. It's something that you do in your own house, so it's really easy to do. So what the test is trying to do is trying to pick up any invisible blood in the poo. So, you know, the kit is received through the post, the sample is taken at home and then returned in the post. If it's positive, you're invited for a colonoscopy, which is a camera in your bowel area. But if it is positive, it does not mean that you have got cancer. So people get really scared at this stage when they get a positive fit test. They get really scared thinking they've got cancer, but it could be like polyps or fibroids, but they just need to do a colonoscopy. The reason why they don't offer the colonoscopy right at the start, because we know people wouldn't come forward for it. And it is quite an invasive procedure. So that's why we've got this kit that comes to your house.
When it's time to do your bowel cancer screening test, you'll get a kit through the post. It can spot the early signs of bowel cancer and it saves lives. In the kit, there's a small stick which is used to collect a sample of poo. The lab checks for any traces of blood in the poo, which is sometimes a sign of cancer. On the day you do the test, write the date on the tube. Check your letter for full instructions on how to do your. To take the sample, you'll need to put a plastic tub and a few layers of toilet paper into the toilet to catch the poo. And then you just do your business. Then, using the stick from the kit, scrape a bit of poo onto the end of the stick, making sure the two holes are covered. Put the stick back into the tube and twist it to close. When it's time to do your bowels into the envelope provided and into the post. Be sure to send it back as soon as possible and you'll get the results back within 2 weeks. If there's any trace of blood detected, it could be a number of things, not just the early signs of bowel cancer. The letter will explain the results and if you need to do anything next. For more information about bowel cancer screening, go to criuk.org/bowel-screening.
Sorry, that just ran it twice. I hope you actually, did you get most of that or?
Yeah.
Colon cancer screening can help prevent
Sorry, it's just
colorectal cancer or find it early.
It's
when
just
treated
playing
with
something.
steps.
Just one
This
second.
video will show you how to complete a simple colon cancer screening test that you can do at home called the Ensure One Fit test.
Right. I seem to have lost you. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I seem to have lost you on my screen. I can't find the. Right, here we are. Sorry, I seem to have lost you for a minute there. I'm just going to get back onto here. Right, so so that was just explaining basically with the bowel screening kit. So if we look here, the kit looks a little bit like this. At the top, it's got some grooves, and we don't want where it's got nothing. We don't want where it's got too much. We just want a little bit there. So it's really important that we just get that small amount. So the next one we want to talk about is the cervical. This is the HPV testing. So we know that girls at the moment between the age of 25 and 49 you get invited for your cervical screening between the age of 29 and 49 and are invited every 3 years. And when you hit the age of 50 to 64, you're invited every 5 years for your cervical screening. And this screening is, we call it a smear test. But also in schools previous to this, at the age of 12, you get the girls and the boys get the injections for HPV. But even if you've had those injections, when you hit the age of 25, you still have to go for your cervical screening. This test is done at your GP practice. Again, automatically, you are invited by your GP practice. You'll get a letter, but you have to make a phone call to make an appointment with your GP. It's always done by a woman. It's always done by the nurse. We all get embarrassed going, oh my God, it's in that area. But please do not be scared about that, because the lady themselves already had one. She understands your fears and everything like that. So it's really important that we go for these. This one out of all 3 of the screening programs is the one that people least go to because of the area that it is, and people feel really uncomfortable. And this one is HPV, is one that we don't really get signs and symptoms for as well. So it's really important. And if we do, there'd be things that kind of we ignore. So it's really important that we do go for this. So again, trans men or anybody with a cervix is eligible, and it is performed at your GP practice. Just want to try and get to the next slide. So basically what they do is they have different sizes of the speculums that they place within your private area and the women's private area. Now, again, this shouldn't hurt. Years and years ago, they used to have this big metal thing that they used to put inside. It used to be cold, it used to be horrible, and it used to be one size. Has wear different sizes, tall, short, big, skinny. In our private areas, we're also different sizes. So now we've got 3 different sizes. So if it hurts, you need to tell your nurse that is hurting, and they will change that size. Then what they do is they get a long, it's like a long cotton wool, cotton bud stick, and they just scratch the top of your cervix. So they open with the speculum, just top of the cervix, and they get some cells and they send that our way. Within 2 weeks, you should get the results for that, of whether it's positive or negative. With HPV, it's a very slow growing cancer. So the quicker we get it, the better it is for us, but it's 99% chance of survival. It's a 15-minute appointment. It's at your local GP surgery. And I know it's not something that we like to do, but it could save your life. And, you know, and even if we find out you have got HPV, you know, it's a very, very simple way of getting rid of it. All it is you come in, and it's a half an hour procedure, and you can go about your day. So, and sometimes even the GP practices do that for you as well, so you don't even have to go to the hospital. So just a question to you guys to find out, why don't we go for our screening programs? Can you shout out and just let me know why do we not go? Is there any reasons why you think people don't go to their screening appointments?
Timings.
Right, okay. Do you mean like if it's during the day, or do you mean that when you get the timings are wrong? Or
Sometimes with the cervical screening, they want you to be in your ovulation period.
right.
And it can be very difficult trying to fit your time between those times whilst you're working to go for that appointment.
Yeah, that's true. And then also what we're trying to do with GP practices is trying to arrange kind of weekends and evening appointments as well now, so that it makes it a little bit easier for people. So they've got more of a scope of timings that they can do for that. Anything else? Any other reasons?
Faiza, I also think sometimes we are afraid of the outcome of the screening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the most common ones, because sometimes you think, I'd rather not know. I don't want to know, you know. So it is, you do get scared of to not know. But as I was saying early, that early detection is really important, because if we catch it early, your chance of survival is really high. So breast is 95, cervical again 99.9%, and bowel 85%. But it's really important that we catch it that early. So yes, it is really scary, and yes, we don't know, but eventually we have to think in our mind, eventually we're going to have to go, because the symptoms are going to get really bad. Do we want to catch it now where we can save ourselves, or do we want to go and get it caught really later and go through all that invasive procedure and that chemotherapy, you know? So it's just changing our mindset a little bit as well, isn't it? Anything else? Anyone else? Yeah, someone's written time factors and fear. Definitely, I think so. So how do we overcome these barriers? So there's loads of different reasons why people don't come for some of them. So in some communities, they think that if you go for a cervical screening, it breaks your hymen, you know, it really hurts, you know, with the HPV, versus the need to continue testing. So you've had the vaccine, so why do I need that? Because they said that's 90% effective, but still there's 10% chance. Some people don't go because they're not sexually active, especially within the Muslim community. They're very much like, well, we're not married, so we're not going to go, and we don't want to break our hymen. So, you know, it's really important that we have those conversations. We don't go that high for it to break your hymen. There's never any male nurses. You know, if there's a language barrier, then, you know, just let them know and they can get a translator for you. You can always take someone along with you. That's not a problem. A convenient time, as I was saying, a lot of people did say that because it was happening in the school timings, or, you know, like daytime, or they were working, or they, you know, they were getting appointments early in the morning, or, you know, pick up time for the kids. Sometimes it wasn't convenient. So, you know, we're doing extended surgeries now at GP practices, and evenings as well for cervical. And it's about making it a priority, and those cultural concerns as well that people have. So really important that we know what is normal for us and what doesn't feel right. Talk to your doctor. So it's really important that we know what is normal for us, so then we can get that early detection. So before I started doing cancer, I didn't know my bowel habits, for example. I didn't know how many times I opened my bowels in a day. I mean, it's not something I thought I needed to know. But when I read about cancer, it's really important that I know there's been a change of bowel movement or a bowel thing. So if I was going twice a day and it changed to 5 times a day, and that happened over a 3-week period, that could be a sign of cancer. But if I didn't know that only went twice a day and it increased to 5, then I would have missed that early sign. So it's really important that we know about that early sign of any of the 3 cancers. So know what's normal for your body. Look at your body, see what it looks like, feels like, and behaves like. When I'm saying behaves like, it's like, for instance, for behaving, it's more around with your bowel. So does your body, do you go regularly? You know, have you got constipation? Is that normal for you? So it's what's not normal for you. So what might be normal for you might not be normal for someone else. So it's important that you know what is normal for you, not what's normal for somebody else, if that makes sense. And make an appointment with your GP. Now, people are going to say, I can't get an appointment with the GP. I understand that. But what you need to do is, if you've got any signs and symptoms, you need to make sure that that you mention the word cancer when you make that phone call. So you can say, I want to alleviate that I haven't got cancer. And I know it's a very difficult word to say, but once you say that, they have to give you an appointment straight away with that day or the day after. Always be prepared. So make sure you write down all your signs and symptoms on a piece of paper. And this is not for the GP, this is for yourself. So it's really important that you write this down, because I know when I go to a GP, I've got all these things that have happened to me. And when I go there, I forget. So I'll tell them half of them. And then when I walk out, I'm like, God, I forgot to tell them this. I've got to tell them this. And I'm not going to make an appointment again. So it's really important that we come prepared and we've got it all written down. Be honest. So I know in some communities, I know especially with my dad, when my dad was ill, he used to go to the hospital and he'd be in a lot of pain, and they'd say to him, what's your pain like from 0 to 10? Where do you think it is? 10 being the most. My dad would say a 5, because he never wanted to say it was 8, because he felt like it's too serious. But they didn't know, they'd never met him before. So they took for what he said as a 5 and treated him like that. So it's really important that we be honest with our GPs about how much pain or how that's changing our lives, and how much it's affecting us, rather than kind of downplaying it like we do a lot. Be thorough. So go through every single thing. So when I say be prepared, when you've written everything down, make sure that you've spoken to all those concerns and everything that's happened. You speak to your GP, and be stubborn at the end, because a lot of people say the GPs don't listen to us. So it's really important, if you feel like you're not that person that can stand up for yourself, and you feel like you've not got the courage to do that, always take someone along with you. You know your body. If something's not normal for you, you know there's something. Make sure you don't leave that doctor's room until you've got either a referral or a blood check or whatever you feel that you need. It's really important. And that, when you're being stubborn, is really important, where you know what's normal. So you can say to your GP, well, actually, this was normal, and now it's, and this is what happened last month, and this is what's happened this month, and it's a clear change, and I know that's a change. The GP can't dismiss you that way. So it's really important that we do that. So when we're looking at warning signs, what are we looking at? So for breast, we're looking at the shape and the size of the breast. Has that changed? as I was saying, these are what is normal for you, not normal for somebody else. So think about your own body. So today I want you to go home and I want you to look. Now with breast, it's not only looking at women, men also get breast cancer. There's a small amount of people, men that do, but they still do. So it's important that they check this as well. So check the size and the shape of the breast. We say check this regularly, once a month. I always say, don't check before your period, because that area becomes sensitive and it gets a bit bigger and things like that. So always check after your period, and that's the best time to check. Check for any lump swelling in the breast, upper chest area and the armpit. When we look at breast, we always assume it's just the breast area, but it's the upper chest and the armpit that we should be looking for. And lump is the main one that people attach to breast screening, but it's not the only one. So any skin changes, any rashes, change of color, any puckering or dimpling. So if you've got an orange, if you look at an orange skin and it's got those little dots on them, if your skin starts changing like that and it stays like that for 3 weeks or longer, or if you've got a rash, so sometimes your clothes can give you a rash, that's fine. Sometimes something's irritated you, something you've washed with, but if it lasts for 3 weeks and longer, then you need to go and see your GP. And any changes in your nipples, so if they're coming in, if they're sticking out and they normally are in, if they're in and they're sticking normally in and they're sticking out, that's a change for you, what's not normal. And any discharge, we know when we're breastfeeding, there's milk coming out of there, but if you're not, then there should not be anything else coming out from there. So with bowel, this is what I'm talking about when we were looking at change of behavior and anything that's any unexplained bowel habit. So when you go to the toilet and you've been to the toilet, you've done all your business and you walk out and you feel like, oh my God, I just need to go back in, I've not finished. So that could be a sign. Any blood in the poo. Most times this is piles, but sometimes it can be associated to that. Any explained weight loss or tiredness. This is anything that lasts 3 weeks or longer. And a feel of mass or something. Oh gosh, what happened there? Sorry. A feel of mass in the stomach area. And cervical is any unusual vagina bleeding during or after sex, between periods. And I know a lot of us just ignore the between the periods. We're just like, oh, am I on? I was just spotting. But it's really important that we get that checked out. After you've been through menopause, you shouldn't be getting any bleeding at all. So if you've got it then. Pain, if you have any pain during or after sex, or any unpleasant discharge in that area as well. So I'm going to stop sharing now. So that's the end of my presentation around the 3 screening programs, breast, bowel and cervical. It's really important, as I'm saying, that we know what's normal for us, what is not normal. And if it isn't normal, then we go to the GP. And we mentioned the word cancer to get that quick appointment. If you have any of those signs and symptoms, does not mean you've got cancer. It's just something that needs to be investigated. 9 out of 10 times it's fine, but it's really important that we do go and get that checked out. So that's a key thing I want you to take away. And the second thing I want you to take away, if you do get a screening appointment, please go to your screening. It's a free service that we get, and it's for us. Do not feel that you're taking up anyone's time. Always look after yourself, because we know sometimes as women especially, we have so many things that are going on in our lives that we don't have time to make that appointment. So I've got to pick the kids up, I've got to do the cooking, I've got to look after this person, because we care for everybody. But it's really important that we care for ourselves, because if we miss that appointment and we do have cancer and then we pass away from cancer, and who's going to do all those duties that are left behind? So it's really important that we take care of ourselves, so if we want, we can take care of other people. Is there any questions? I feel like I have spoken a lot, but if there's any questions please just shout them out. No?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Right. So basically the question is right about the statement you made about, so when you see some form of blood in your poop,
Yeah.
it could be piles, which
Yeah.
is right. It could
Yeah.
also be what is going on,
Yeah.
cancer. But my question is, how do you know? Because we're talking about a specific cancer here. So
Yes,
say it is,
for bowel, yeah.
the bowel one. So does it affect both male and
Yeah.
female, or it's
It's
just
so as you say, if you find any blood in your poo, 9 out of 10 times that is piles, but it also could be fibroids, it could be, anything like that. But it's really important that you go and check that with GP. So go to your GP, let them know that you've got obviously blood in the poo, and you visually can see that, and let them know that you want to alleviate cancer. Very simple test. They'll probably tell you to put a little bit of poo into a little container and send it across, and they'll get that checked, and within 2 weeks you'll find out whether that's positive or negative.
right? Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
Faiza, sorry, mine is about the GP services. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's quite tricky to get an appointment, and I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, so apart from the GP,
Oh, you mean, sorry, I didn't get the rest of it. Apart from a GP, it was a question. Apart from the GP, is there somewhere else you can go? Is that the question?
yes, please.
Yes. So if you've got a sign and symptom, it has to be done through the GP. They have to make that referral for you. So sometimes what you can do is that if you mention the word cancer, they have to give you an appointment. That's the be all and end all. So if you've got a sign and symptom, I would ring and say that I've got this sign, I want to alleviate cancer. Can you give me an appointment? They'll give you that day or the day after. So if it's got to do with cancer, if you think it's a sign and symptom of cancer, you can mention that and you will get an appointment. If you still feel that you can't get that appointment, then I'd make an appointment with the nurse and then tell the nurse, and then the nurse will make that appointment for go and see the nurse, and maybe the nurse can make that referral for you. But it's really important that the GP does that, because the GP has certain checks that they have to do as well. So if you have got a sign and symptom of cancer, then use that word cancer. It's a scary word to use, I know, and sometimes we feel like if we say the word cancer, we're going to get it. And I understand that kind of you're too scared to say it, but it's really important that we do say it to make that appointment. Because I know even my GP practice, I'm on the phone at 8 o'clock for about 40 minutes holding, and then I can't get an appointment that day, it's ridiculous. But if you mention that, then you will. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, just a quick one.
Yeah.
So you made mention of the fact that drinking,
yeah,
which here to me, are you referring to alcoholic, right?
Yeah,
Just
yes,
alcohol and stuff
yeah,
like that, right?
yeah.
So my belief tells me I shouldn't drink.
Yeah.
It's not good for my body.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't smoke.
Yeah,
And that's my belief.
Yeah.
What about these non-alcoholic drinks, these canned drinks, and the other kind of drinks that we've got? Is there any link, to this?
So there's links to that and obesity. So cancer, when you're overweight, then basically your hormones aren't working as well. You've got high risk of getting cancer, and all these drinks kind of what should I say, make you overweight. So even the ones that have got no sugar in them or things like that, they still make you put on weight. So it's really important that we keep away from those for them reasons.
Right. Thank you very much.
No problem. But good to know that you're not smoking and drinking.
Of course, we don't.
Good to know. So you've reduced your risk completely already. So that's good.
Exactly.
Someone's raised their hand.
Okay, that's me.
Yeah. Hiya.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you very much. This has been very helpful. Surprisingly, I thought it was going to be mainly about the woman, but
Right.
I found that we are also in there.
Yeah.
So thank you. So it was really worth staying for it. But then I just wanted to find out, regards to this weight business, which you just touched on.
Yeah.
Some of us are realizing that our wastes are increasing gradually, and today we've had exercise. You're hoping it will help, and all that. Apart from diet, is there anything really that you can recommend that could be very helpful to us? Because
so you mean to lose weight?
Yeah, because it's this Western diet. I don't know if it's the Western diet or whatever it is. It's like it's difficult to keep that weight. So
it's really important to look at how many calories are going in and how many calories are going out. So it has to be done with food and exercise. But really, if we look at how much we eat, so if we're eating, say for instance, a small piece of cheesecake, for example, that's like 300 calories. Now, if we were going to exercise, we're going to have to exercise for about 4 hours or longer, which are moderate, where we're out of breath for 3 or 4 hours longer to get rid of that cheesecake. So really what we should be doing is reducing that size of that cheesecake, because we're not going to be able to do that much physical activity. So the emphasis would be mainly on the food, but also physical activity as well. So have you heard about the Eat Well plate?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really important that we work on that Eat Well plate, and we use that Eat Well plate as a daily, or we can use it as a weekly thing, and just make sure that we're eating the right amounts of food. So reducing your carbs will kind of reduce your weight, but I would not say go on these fad diets where they get rid of their carbs completely. I'd just say kind of reduce your carbs, have more fruit, fiber, those types of things in your diet, have a little bit of protein, have a little bit of calcium, and have a moderate diet. Do not get rid of anything out of your diet, because you feel like if you take something out of your diet, you feel like you're losing it, and then you kind of binge on it afterwards.
Okay.
So it's really important that we have everything, but in moderation. So when we look at that Eat Well plate, so we've got 4 or 5 portions of carbohydrates. So when we're looking at a piece of bread, this size and this thickness is one portion. So if we have 2 breads, that's 2 portions. But then if we're going to have then some rice, which is, for us, it was really shocking. So if we look at our palm of a hand and that level, if you look at that's your 1 portion of rice. When I eat rice, I probably eat 4 portions of rice, because I have a full plate full of rice. But then that's 1 portion. So we're only allowed 5 portions of carbohydrate, and carbohydrate is the main thing that's making us put on weight. So it's really important that we understand what 1 portion is, and work towards that, because sometimes you'll just like get a full plate of rice and think that's 1 portion of rice. But actually, if you looked at actually how many portions it is, it's a minimum of 3.
Right. Okay.
I can send you some info. I used to work for the NHS. I still do now as well. But I used to do the weight management course there. So that's why I've got a bit more understanding. But I can send I'll send Rachel some links for you to look at, so you can look at portion sizes. And if you go through the NHS, if you feel like you're overweight and you've hit a certain BMI, the NHS will put you through these NHS weight management programs that will help you change your lifestyle. So as I'm saying, it's not a diet, so they're not going to say like most diets, they'll be like, take out your carbohydrates and take out all your like all the fat out of your diet, don't have a dessert. But actually, that's not going to work, because that's not sustainable. So you just have to change the way that you think about food. And just reduce your portion sizes. Sometimes we eat in such big plates and we feel like we need to fill the plate, so it's kind of visual. Just make a smaller plate, put the same amount in a smaller plate, and you'll realize you'll put less food in and you'll feel full because you feel like you've had a plate. So reduce your plate size as well. So, like little key things like that. So definitely if you think you're overweight and you passed a BMI, then just go and speak to your GP and see if he'll refer you to a weight management program.
Okay, thank you. Can I just summarize what you said, because we've closed the breakout room because of the questions. That's just say it in the Ghanaian language. It's the no Kenyan and says you say no. And so misana koni bi I say waka ye nom cigarettes. Into ye de nka pa na o chimusa enya no nko ne ha no ye emuduro so eka ho. Into no so ene ebusa say na say no ye be den na yetimi aboa ye ho ewe aduane sem no na eno na o chirem se aduane no so no ya na dodo a yedie no so ka ho efi se ti se emo kan o de nsa ejina ma se nsa nyina no fan se one portion na se uti plate ade ma na plate no so a na se bro de ese nka udie no enti empe plate nkete na beboa plate na supi no na beboa ma etimi ate, because I say help dodo na ye start na you be brain teacher or more pemo be brain no and then full for so a become home. Enti no now I can ask him to say that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So next week I'll be talking, Donna will be speaking about prostate cancer. And I know women will be like, oh God, that's nothing to do with us. But it's really important that we go, the women also attend that session to find out the signs and symptoms so that they can share them with their partners. They can share that with their children and any other male people that they know. So I think you'd find that really useful as well. And again, we'll touch a little bit more on bowel and we might just check in a little bit on lung cancer as well next week.
Now just saying you lung cancer and prostate cancer once a mema you get after the mema yare na enti obesa ka bowel no so the cancer no so kakra enti enkase ema no emi enkase be the mema yare ho asem ne be kada bi yina ho hia fi se lung cancer ne ayi akekan de eno etimi nyu bia ma na mema nyina.
And thank you very much.
Yo, edasipi mse preno ebi ho sisi obi so asembise obi timi abusana ansana wako. Okay.
Any other questions? Anything you want to ask me before I leave?
Achobi wa asembise bia obetimi abusa. Obi asembise bia obetimi abusa. Ansana wako. Sorry,
just a quick advisor. Do you do counseling sessions as well?
Sorry, what sessions?
Counseling.
Health sessions.
Counseling.
Counseling.
She said
counseling.
Yeah.
No, sorry, we don't. Would you like me to find out where do counseling sessions? Would you like me to find out where they do counseling sessions for you?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I will. I'll find out for you and I'll send that to Rachel to pass that round.
Okay. Right. I think there's another hand up. Sister Lydia.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Adam Pachano actually mama na mama.
I'll translate.
Cancer area no. Most yana ni pani become yeti asiese area say omo ye pharmacist ni ade na create na ekọ so sa ya ayi ekunipa bebre na ebi nsusu ma ye hu se ebi a okọ hospital kra na ebisa se ade a ewo family mu a wona na obi anya ansa na wa benya bi nti ya na edu ebi ana confuse me kakra simpese mi hu se etisa de ebi kan because we mo sende ehun niema bre na wo kan na akokise ebi a yare ni ye wa obenya nro ni board ni nti wo bekwa akoto nro no monye ska die pa na de sa yare no eba.
Okay, so there is this notion and sort of popularist, a little bit popularist belief that is these pharmaceutical companies who like to make money, from people, and that is why they have brought these cancers so that they could continue making these medicines, these drugs for people to buy to cure cancer. So there's this thing. And so because of that, he really wants to find out, is it really data cause? And then secondly, you find that so every night that they will send you stuff and you read it and it's like, oh yeah, there's this cancer and there's this drug which can help it and all that. So I think she wants some clarification on that. And then I think secondly, she also said that with cancer, what else can you say about Lydia? What was the other one? Sorry.
Family.
Yes, family history. Thank you.
Related to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And sometimes too, people claim that when they're asking you about these diseases in a health setting, one popular question that they usually ask is that, is there a family history of the disease?
Yeah.
And so when they ask that, then they are thinking that if maybe the parent had it, then perhaps the child can have it, or maybe vice versa. Yeah. So what do you say about these? Thank you.
Right. So the first one is, I've heard that a lot about the pharmaceutical companies and the pharmaceutical. There's no evidence to show that's happened. Cancer Research UK every day are working on finding out why we're developing these cancers. That's why we know that that our diets and our lifestyles, that's what a 50% increase on getting cancer. Well, there's nothing real. There's no evidence to show that a pharmaceutical company are making you get cancer so that they can give you medication. I don't think that would be very ethical. So I don't think that's the case. Okay. In terms of,
can I translate that before you go to the next one, please? And so the kind of and if you move a pharmaceutical companies and answer the cancer neighbor said about meeting me to Ramain. Media society hold on. Inti and no Messumatini baby pani pacanesa, then Swentissa, Cressa, say if it's a Omo cancer research, cancer moon or UK hano. Almost a young way maybe now, Omo be bia tresse a drug company see and a pesa in your cancer tea, Omo pro yarenu go said a bear I bet I could pay home edru neato inti the decan and no.
Shall I go on to the next?
Yes, please.
Shall I go on to the next question? Right.
Yeah.
So the second question that you asked was about cancer, and where about these new, new ways of getting rid of cancer, or the new treatments. As I was saying, like Cancer Research UK is continuously doing research and finding new drugs and new things that are helping with cancer. So yes, that is true. There are new things that are coming. They are doing particular studies. They're asking for people to come forward to be part of these studies to find out these things are working. And that's how we got to a stage where we can 95% chance of survival for breast cancer is because we've gone through all these trials, we've tried all these treatments, and we know what actually works. So yes, that is true.
And the question you remember brain coso if cancer na sika be brain no me shemu said there be a cancer no ometimi hu kwan be fa so a ebetimi asiyare ano enti no de nhwemu de coso pa no me trial so me try nipa hwese ebia ade no send the city na de ebetimi ayede afa hon. So that was the other one.
And then the final question was around I think, was it family history?
Family history, yes.
Yeah. So basically they'll always ask you that question. So there is a small chance, so it's about a 3% chance if you've got cancer in your family that basically you've got an increased chance of getting cancer. But just because you've got it in your family doesn't mean you're definitely going to get it, but you've just got a slight more increased, about a 3-4% chance more of it of another person that hasn't got cancer in their family. That's why we always ask that question.
Okay. And also so ebusa sa se bisa se wo cancer anakokrom e wo busuamu a ene e kyerese se fa ohamu nchemu miensa ana enan bi no wo betimi nya cancer achen obi a ebi ni busuamu kra be no kyerese ebi wo busuamu a chinchina a wonso benya bi if it's a cancer no ejina ene bi so ejina wankasa se do si bo abra ene se de we didi ani ade lifestyle choice we didi ani ade etimi nya sunsun so se wo so benya bi ana se wonya bi nti no so hia pa. Thank you. Da. Pacha se bisa frubi o. Right. Thank.
So I think I've answered that as well. Sorry, there's one
Yeah.
in there's a question there saying whether family history can make a difference. So yes, it does. And then it's also I don't know if people have heard about the BRCA gene. So the BRCA gene is for people with that've got breast cancer. So if someone in your family's got breast cancer, they'll check whether they've got the BRCA gene, and that BRCA gene can run in families. So if you have got the BRCA gene, when you get breast cancer, then they'll contact your family, the women in the family, and they'll ask the women to come and check whether they've got that gene, because if you've got that gene, you've got a higher risk of getting breast cancer.
And your gene be a friend of BRCA gene. So be in your breast cancer, yeah, not so side gene maybe an OB. Now say so obi nya bia the omo yene say omo contact omo a man when the busu na so omo check it omo check omo there say ebia omo so side gene bia because also side gene bia and no check say ebia likely so between ide enya breast cancer. Okay. Right. Set. Okay.
Okay.
I think we're done. Is there any other question, please? There's a question in the chat. Can some OTC medicines increase risk or exacerbate symptoms of cancer? Over the counter drugs.
Sorry, what does OTC mean?
Over the counter medications.
Over-the-counter medications, I'm not sure. I don't want to answer that question because I'm unsure about that question.
Okay.
Do you want me to? I can see. I'm just going to write that question down and see whether I can find the answer for it and send it across.
Okay. And just we say, na no na tono cotonos drugstore no so. Emu betimi ama cancer akosro. So when you cancer akosro, and I say symptoms no betimi ama when you cancer symptoms and chamwana. Ena the ochechefo say we need the onim into a trace submission at all our coefficient not the whom I abrege. Thank you. Sister, the Ajoa hand is up, please.
Pacho, me more crabby am they count say yeah, fancy the way cervical cancer send screening is and see yeah normal pimping no more encourage say oh by fancy work crack it want to mean for Accra and Bahonum and kaka amede kahon say you why you walk and cry me and fancy obano when you're through school age. It's also when your letter say yes, brana by cervical cancer screening. No, you always me and say, lady can say the ocean when you'll be on far crying in Jana. Oko it's a childcare.uk site. One of the things that you can screen by is childminders are more offer free cervical screening appointment sessions. See, someone himself will call cervical screening session. So normally you have a letter from your GP. Now with the trauma, you can get 1 hour slot free childminding 1 hour slot from a registered childminder from Offset. See, Bibi sounds so home for ma unyo bia. So when your letter say yes, brand na by cervical screening unyo bia or crack it on so when you're through school age. Okay,
it's a contribution really that for women who have got children who are not of school age as yet, who have received letters to go for cervical screening, there is this wonderful facility where they have got childminders who are Ofsted registered, who provide free slots for women who have got cervical screening appointments. All you need to do is to just go to childcare.co.uk, which is the website which we'll also post on it, which has been sent in the chat, and you can get appointment slots where you can get free slots for someone to look after your child whilst you go for a cervical screening appointment. Wonderful.
Oh, that's brilliant. I didn't know that. That's really good. I'll have a look at that then, because a lot of people that have just had children or go to these parents and toddlers groups, and we go and run sessions with them around cervical screening. That is one of the things. They don't want their children to come in and watch them have it done, but they've got no one to look after them. So I'll definitely look into that. But that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
When you also know now we try to also be if we say you pay bro mobile appointment or person oba, and so you'll be aware about into we need a bit more people and see with that pay.
Is
there any other question, please?
And then Bible study saying we have enough time to do the discussion. He said, which maybe sir,
there is no Bible study this evening, and so we've got plenty of time for this. So if anyone has got any niggling questions, so long as Mr. Fazer has got time, you can please ask now, or forever hold your silence. Maybe not, but yeah, maybe another time then. Okay, good.
I'm okay for time.
Oh, great, thank you. I'll say, or Brema. Achobu asemi sa ufubi or.
Okay, so the Warrior translation, and I said, me come between one.
Dear baby,
okay, so anyway, Fazer, please thank you very much for your time and the knowledge you've imparted on us. We are very much grateful for your presence today as well, and we'll be expecting you next week in our numbers.
Wait,
both male and females.
There's a hand up. Fazer, you da sepa so be boy you marry na obecheche say na I'm say be cost also. Sister Selena. Hana line ya basa. Pacho yini.
Asi me pacho pese me ho say obi a me pacho no de bia obi wa na tembia o waye kon o enya constipation otimi ya cancer ni bia na.
Okay, my question is that if someone is always constantly constipated, can such a person get the cancer you're talking about, perhaps the bowel cancer?
Constipated.
Didn't realize I was on mute then. So it is really important, like what I said before, is if it's not normal for you and it's a change of bowel habit, it's lasted for over 3 weeks or longer, then yes, it could be a sign of bowel cancer.
Now, only a pass teacher pa senya sana what's here and as Hana Wajana Usukujawanai na fe di ashasia na atwaso sa for na otwemiensa pa a bit to me I say a bowel cancer even to esoko umodio for. Thank you. Russell.
Okay, Pacho, I said, Miss Abian, no, the ADC here, and Nyambo and next week, so about to be to my track, so Nyambo and next week on honest Abeba, or bow which me a bisa, a brass, it be and send Miss Andrew Embreno.
If there's no question, then we'll draw a curtain here, bring it to a close. But if you've got any other questions later, you can write it down, and next week when she comes back, you can bring those questions.
Okay, so Fazer, please thank you once again, and then we would like to bring an end to this discussion. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye.
So all right. Okay. I wish you have one year. I say yeah, bomb pie na yeah addition na baby yeah. But the why which me addition so my.
Okay. As you for me one pie. Yeneja Australia that was saying you so akunya dia mai ni edison dia kunya dia mai. Yada was say, oh, in your bay, your betche, and a crow a free line so. Nancy Shrano. A bra, only a betne fidi, so a train. Why a crowd set, and put a semi son cry or do pa, a brenna pound, or betty in 1 year no man, a radius or shanamayan. Shana Bushan was any bar on the metro, show me na fe on torso, and age me de, no from waffle frost, or boy in ray. Yare, how do I about your body and you ray? Cookram, Yare. A chat is say a maimu, and put your chrome Ghana. Say, Jamubu beer. Yamubu beer. When you do your focus here, yes, all tron sack, I found Sakaye. Namaya Arisa. If you say binum, and nam, well, rather won't church so. A binum, Edua Namoechi. A binum do on water or rather so. And ne a dear for Edua Dante say. Yareno a 2 aira, and when to see mubi empo ekeka ekoha Jesus and you remain on sasso. Yes, so ye free when you we are still under your feet. Now tree the enim kind wherever we find ourselves. Ye may be school when I'll be quite man a G a china at the Roma, ye de bass and num, ye de chasianum and yes, so boy hobine. Fair and so. Na fe said yes, she mubioa that I was yaton tomorrow. Anything to be a cassette. Erade, send you ray. Obi, a conin asro say. Erade, be howie. I bromiswa, my own sasso. That's no one such oh any panaso. Yet I was so a teen, Jesus Christ in. Amen.
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 Amen.